What's the difference? Memorizing versus mapping words. I'm sharing this video series to help you understand some of the similarities and differences between terms or strategies that we use in the field of literacy, and then apply this knowledge to your teaching. Today's topic is memorizing words versus mapping words. Memorizing words focuses on remembering whole words by rote memory. Oftentimes, the focus is using the visual cues that are provided by the word. If you're familiar with the Dick and Jane books that began in the 1930s, these books promote memorizing words. For example, with a word like dog, some learners may remember the word because of the visual cue of the tail of the G. It looks like the tail of a dog. Teachers may even show learners how to look at the shape of a word to help them remember the word. So you have a tall letter of the D, followed by a short letter with the O, and then a letter that has a tail that hangs down, and that last letter with the G. A word like look might be remembered because there's two eyes looking at you, or the shape of the word again could be remembered with the tall letters and the short letters. Now, there are several problems with memorizing whole words, and I have a post about that on my blog. Today, I'm just going to focus on one issue. At best, memorizing words only focuses our learners' attention on the letters or the graphemes in the words. And that's at best. It doesn't always. But it does next to nothing to help learners see how the actual letters connect to the letter sounds or the phonemes in words. And when you can help learners connect the graphemes, which are the letters, to the phonemes, you have a powerful tool. This is where mapping words comes in. So with mapping words, we are showing our learners how their knowledge of letters or graphemes connects to their knowledge of letter sounds or phonemes and how to use those together. And from best practices of teaching, this makes total sense. So we want to build on prior knowledge or what our learners already know. When we teach them new content, we're building on the old content they already know. So if learners know their letters and they even know some of their letter sounds, we want to build on that knowledge to help them read words. And when we ignore that connection, I believe we're doing a massive disservice for our beginning and our struggling readers. So what should we do instead? And I would say mapping words. One great way to do it is with phoneme grapheme mapping. Now, phoneme grapheme mapping, it's a hands-on activity that can strengthen the connection between the letters or the graphemes and those letter sounds or the phonemes. If you're not exactly sure how it works, I would encourage you to watch my video called What's the Difference Between Phonemes and Graphemes, because we go into phoneme grapheme mapping in that video. And I also have another video that's dedicated solely to phoneme grapheme mapping. And I'll put the links in the descriptions below for you. Now, if you've watched one or both of those videos, you'll see that I deal mostly with consistent phonic words. These are words that map perfectly or they map transparently. And really, that begs the question, what about high-frequency words? Now, while many high-frequency words do map transparently because they do follow phonics generalizations or phonics rules, if you want to call them phonics rules, what do you do with words that don't map so perfectly? Should we just resort to telling our learners to memorize all these words? I would say not exactly. Let's give an example here with the word said. Now remember, we want to help our learners build a connection between what they already know and what they don't yet know. So they They might know their letters and letter sounds, but they don't know the word yet. So we want to build that connection. We want our learners to see that they already have a connection with this word. They already know how to sound out both the S and the D in the word said. So those letters or these graphemes make their expected sounds. They make the sounds our learners should already know. But we do have a little part of the word that is trickier. The AI in the middle of this word does not make its expected sound. Now, even if learners don't know what AI, the vowel team, says together, they can hear, they would expect to have an E in the word since we hear the short E sound in the middle of said. So we can teach learners that they only need to memorize or learn by heart the tricky part. Now, so what you're showing your learners again is they have a connection with the word. We're making a connection for them, but we're showing them that there is a tricky part they may just have to memorize. This is just one example, but it can be done with nearly every high frequency word. Even though these words sometimes quote unquote break the rules, they almost always have letters or chunks of letters that map the way they would expect them to map. So the letter sounds and the letters themselves it makes the expected connection. So instead of ignoring that all of our words pretty much are going to have this, we should highlight this for our learners to show them how they can use their knowledge to figure out these words and remember these words. Now, the beauty of phoneme-grapheme mapping is that it explicitly shows learners how to go through words to map the letters with the sounds. Phoneme-grapheme mapping models this process that we want our beginning and our struggling readers to do internally as they encounter new words in their reading. Now, remember in our last video, we asked the question, how do we get high-frequency words stored in long-term memory so they become sight words or they become automatic? What is the bridge? Well, I would argue it's mapping words, not memorizing words. One of our goals with word recognition is that words, not just high-frequency words, mind you, but all words get stored in long-term memory so they can be recognized automatically for future retrieval. So mapping words can help our beginning and our struggling readers do just this. Now, if you're looking for more information about mapping words, remember to watch the videos I mentioned earlier, as well as follow the links in the description to these free resources on my blog. You may also enjoy our seasonal mapping mats and our mapping puzzles from my shop. Thanks for joining me at This Reading Mama, where you'll find hands-on learning for home or school.